I'm going to explain really quickly why I don't think it's a good idea to obsess over cutting carbs or eliminating carbs or going keto or anything like that. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because keto is still very popular. You hear people talking about it, you hear people talking about low carb and Atkins still and eliminating carbs. The reason I don't think it's a good idea to think about obsessively cutting carbs is because typically you're not going to be looking at what you're consuming. You're just making the blanket assumption that you just need to cut carbohydrates in general, okay? And the reason I think that's a mistake is because we don't audit what we're actually consuming, and we're not thinking about things that we might want to incorporate. And so I think it's a better idea to focus instead on figuring out ways to get more lean protein into your diet, more fruits and veggies, and more whole grains, because these are the food items that are going to fill you up. And by proxy, you're probably going to eliminate some processed carbohydrates if you incorporate these foods. So the other really important reason why I think it's not a great idea to just obsess about cutting carbs is because we're not thinking about what we get to add to our lives. We're only thinking about what we need to get rid of. We're only thinking about what we lose. We're only engaging in a scarcity mindset, and a mindset that's enveloped in this sense of lack, like, oh, I'm going to lose this thing, when you don't necessarily need to lose things. Sometimes it's a lot more advantageous and proactive to think about all the things that you get to add. And then the last and final reason I don't think it's a good idea to obsess over cutting carbs is if you're consuming a lot of carbohydrates and you're trying to eliminate some of those carbohydrates, meaning you're trying to eat less carbs, well, it may not work, or it may backfire, because when we're consuming a lot of carbohydrates, we get an insulin spike. That's the hormonal adjustment that occurs. We get that hormonal spike of insulin, and then it dips and we get hungry. Okay, so that's why if you've ever eaten something that's high in carbohydrates and you're hungry 5 minutes later, I know I experience that a lot. I'll eat a Pop-Tart and then I want another Pop-Tart 5 minutes later. The reason that is because that's what carbohydrates do. It goes through our system relatively quickly. So when we're getting things like fibrous fruits and veggies, whole grains, more fiber, and of course lean protein, maybe the most important, that actually makes us less hungry overall, and we don't have as many of those spikes and then dips where we're immediately hungry afterwards. Okay, so if we're getting lean protein in every meal, then it curbs our appetite, and it actually makes us eat less, consume less, and we actually crave less of those processed carbohydrates. So if you have questions about what we just discussed here and you'd like to shoot me a message, feel free to do so, and I hope you're doing well. Have a great day.